In this spacemaker workflow, we're going to be looking at a design informed by the exploration tool using the sun analysis. So here I have a blank site and I'm going to go to the explore menu here. We're going to be looking at the site study and we're going to be looking at the varied component. So when we come to heights, we're going to choose daylight, sunlight, or views. Today I'll start off with sunlight. I'm going to include all the 12 different layout types here. The heights, I might crank this up to 12 at the high end just to give it a bit of variety. Here we have it set, this is in Copenhagen. I'm going to look at the winter months where we're not going to get much light. And we want to try and get 5 hours of direct sunlight. Could be a bit ambitious, so I'll just drop it down to say 3 for direct sunlight, and we'll look at from 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. There's also an option here to look at the apartment type. So flexible units or custom mix, I'm going to look at nothing below 40 square meters. As a developer, maybe the 2 beds might sell a lot and maybe 3 beds might sell a lot. I think I'll leave that on 0, put that up to 40, and I'll put that one at 60 and drop that to 0. These are just the ratios that I prefer. And last thing just to note here, you do have the building width, so we could maybe move that out to say 15. You've got the tower building dimension, I'll just leave that on default. And then you've got the division line buffer. So again, when you're starting to look at these ratios, so if I'm a developer and I want to get, say, units between, well, that's 60 square meters, 60%. We look at the ratios here, so 15 times 12 or 12 times 12, it's going to give us 144. So maybe I need to rethink this, maybe 15 times 10, so 150 square meters. That will probably divide these up a little bit, so 75 square meters. Maybe we might get 3 in here, so 120, 180. So I'll keep that at 15 just for now, so we'll have something like 225. Again, I could probably do a bit more accurate math on this, but I'll just leave it as what it is, what we're doing today. So we've gone varied heights, we've gone sunlight, we've gone for the winter months, and we've gone for a 60-40 split on units that are 60 square meters and up to 85 square meters. I will hit generate. And now what it's going to do is give me a number of options within a very short amount of time. So depending on the settings you'll put in, will depend on the amount of results you're going to get. Should you need to go back, you can go back and adjust the input. You can also sort by the different ratios here. So it looks like we have 9, so maybe I don't have enough results here, so maybe I need to rethink the input. So if I just go back and just put it on the default and go regenerate, we'll probably see a few more options. So yeah, 12 meters wide, so the corridor might be up to 2 meters if you look at sheer walls. We may need to rethink the depth a little bit more, but we're getting a lot more results here. So 24 results have come up pretty quickly. And if we look at these configurations here, we're getting a lot more options. And I have gone with an interesting sort of ratio. So once you click on these here, you'll see some interesting layouts for us, all designed to get at least 3 hours of direct sun. So once we've gone through these options, and typically the ones at the top here will give us the most amount. It's always good to view them in 3D. I think those two are pretty similar. Maybe there's a little bit of a step down here. And I just want to check these ones here. Okay, I'll go with this one here. I think this kind of has an interesting entrance to it, and something that has a lot of views both ways. So I can go and add that as a favorite and then use as input or add to a proposal list. I will add to a proposal list here, and now we have the generated proposal. So back here in the design, I can now go and test it using the analysis tools. So here's my design, and again, if I want to see the ratio of units, actually that's interesting, it's gone and built on top of one of the structures here. I'll get rid of that for now. This is divided by a division line here, but it's gone and built on top of those neighboring units. Again, it is within the site boundaries, so kind of expected to do something like that. Here, again, you can go and look at the function. So this is where you're going to get the unit sizes, and maybe the purple here is indicating some larger sizes here. So now I want to test this in the analysis tool. So I've used the explore tool to generate it based on getting 3 hours of direct sunlight during the day of January 2021, where it's cold and dark in the northern hemisphere. So here we have different types of analysis. I'm going to click on the sun analysis and actually understand how this is working. So there's two things: visualize the mesh, there's view analysis, and I will just change the date here. So I'm asking it to go to the project settings. You can find it here with like the cog. I'm going to go for January and save those changes. You can add a few more there to the drop down. And then back here in the sun analysis, I'm going to analyze for visualize the mesh, and then also analyze for the view analytics. And it does do this quite quickly. So here with visualize the mesh down the bottom here, we're trying to get to have more than 3 hours. So once that actually finishes running, we can then adjust this little slider here. So you can go and grab that down and drag it down to the 3 hour setting that we want to get to. And in a second it will start to bring that up. Now what it is doing is, because I'm using the entire mesh, it's starting to pick up some other stuff on the site. So I did add this building as an input in an earlier tutorial. This is the Bjarke Ingels project next door, so that's been included in the calculation. And you can see here on this side of the building you're not getting much direct sunlight. Here you're getting a little more, and there's some pinch points. I mean, this building is partially divorced from the ground, and it looks like here we're probably okay. So if we go and crank it up to the 9 hour plus, you can see, you know, here we're getting a lot of direct sunlight, here maybe not so much. So back to our building, around the back of the building here, these units, like the Bjarke Ingels design, are not getting that sunlight, that low winter sunlight. So we might want to reconfigure that. Here we're getting a lot of sunlight on the courtyard units, but maybe not here. So that's the first one. And then the second one is the view analytics. And this gives us a bit more information into each individual unit. So you can go and see here the percentage of units. So we've got 38. They're only going to get less than 1 hour, which is probably not good, especially if you're trying to sell it and you need some place that's not too depressing in winter. This is allowing you to go and click on each individual unit, and then it will tell you about that unit. So this is not looking too good. It shows us where it is on the map here, and we're not getting much sunlight. So we really need to rethink some of those versus these ones up on the corner. Again, if I go and select that, we're getting a lot more sunlight. So this one's going to get between 5 and 6 hours, and then here 8 and 9 hours on this facade here. So that is a quick way on how to use the design tool to try and maximize for sunlight. Now, we see some units here, maybe we need to make them dual aspect like these ones, so at least we can get more sun through it, or consider things like shadowing from the neighboring building. So you can see here, if I go and look at the midday for January the 2021, here's where our shadows are at certain times of the day. So if we look at midday, where we expect to have the most amount of sun, that's what it was calcing. But we could also, go down to an earlier time in the morning, and there may be some real-time feedback on how that's going to be looking. So that is explore to start to do analysis based on direct sun, and then here in the analysis tool is the sun analysis to look at visualizing the entire mesh, or looking at the view analytics and going through each unit and how much direct sun it might get.